Hello to you. Well, it's Scott Picken. It's time for a weekly wealth insight. I just had a fascinating meeting, and for me, it summed up why I think I should do this wealth insight. And I'm literally this one's going to be quite contentious and it's going to ruffle feathers. So the topic and the title is, why do financial planners lie to you to line their own pockets? Let me give you an example of what I'm just talking about. So there's a gentleman I just spoke to in Pietermaritzburg, South Africa. He's African, and he went to see his financial advisor, financial planner, to decide, what he should do with his life and where should he invest. And he was talking about investing offshore and diversification. And his financial planner said to him, oh no, that's only what the white people do because they're scared about the future of the country and they're scared about Malema getting into power. And you believe in the country and you should be investing here and you should have all your eggs in one basket. Can you even believe that he literally said that? I mean, I'm sure that breaks some certain rules. So I find that really interesting because he then went on to say, when the GNU sorted, the Rand's going to recover and you're going to make a lot of money here in South Africa. And so stick with South Africa, kind of stick with me. And I kind of look at that and I go, it makes me really angry. In fact, I got really angry on the call because when I look at it, my father was financial director of a listed company in South Africa. He gave his money to the financial industry, and yet when he was 59 years old, he died broke. And I did the stats. I learned this from Dr. Han Australia. 94% of people in England, Australia, and America will be either dead, broke, or reliant on the government by 65. 5% of people will be financially independent, which means they've trusted their financial advisor, they've put their money into the financial system, and they think that they're financially independent. But what does financially independent mean? It means they earn 25% less than their last paycheck. That means they're 25% poorer when they're 65 than when they were 64. Okay, and I don't know about anyone else, but that's not a good situation, and that's a feeling of being financially trapped, which means they failed as well, which means only 1% of people are retiring wealthy at the age of 65. And the question you've got to ask yourself is, if 100 people are starting a race and only one person is finishing a race, then you really have to look at the current system and say, is this working for me? Now let's go back to that financial advisor, because it's that type of advice that is creating those type of results. It is ridiculous, and I'm sorry to be direct here, it's literally bullshit and it pisses me off. Who in their right mind would tell someone to put all their eggs in one basket? Whether you are African, Indian, Chinese, colored, white, English, Afrikaans, Zulu, Xhosa, Xhosa, I don't care. Let's look at the facts. Firstly, South Africa's economy is less than 1% of the entire world GDP. We're not even a cork on the ocean in terms of the big world, in terms of where to invest. Secondly, our Rand devalues on average for 40 years by roughly 5 to 6% per year against the US dollar. If it's done it for 40 years, do you think it's going to continue to do it for another 40 years? Especially considering our inflation is on average 3 to 5% higher than America. And I'm just using the American dollar, but it's against all first world currencies. Those are just two, you can't dispute them, facts. Okay. Added to that, what about having all your eggs in one basket? Dr. Dolph de Roos had all his money, 8 commercial properties in Christchurch in New Zealand. And they had the earthquake. All 8 buildings were condemned. His buildings were insured. The insurance didn't pay, act of God. He had the mortgages with the bank and they bankrupted him. What about if you had all your money in commercial property in England and you had Brexit and 20% of the values disappeared overnight because of Brexit? What about if you had all your money in residential property in America and you had the crash of 2008, 2009, and depending on what city you're in, properties lost between 40 to 70% of their value? It is illogical to have all your eggs in one basket, whether you are South African or any other nation on this planet. You need to diversify across countries, currencies, assets, partners, and time. And so I'll finish with one final thought. And our 3 core values are trust, transparency, and alignment. Why is alignment so important? Let's go back to that gentleman in Pretoria and his financial advisor. Why is that financial advisor giving him that advice and telling him to put all his eggs in one basket? Because how does that financial advisor get paid? He gets paid when he takes that client's money and he invests it. He gets paid an upfront commission and he gets paid an ongoing commission. Fact. So is he acting in the client's best interest in terms of helping that client build a solid wealth plan, or is he lining his own pocket from an alignment perspective? I'll leave you with that decision or that answer. You can put the answer below if you're interested. For me, it's so common sense. You've got nothing to do with a specific country or even worse, a specific race. Okay, because I got the sense that it's whether you trust in South Africa depends on what you look like. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's got nothing to do with that. There's economic facts. And diversification, Ray Dalio, who is one of the most respected people in the world, he runs $160 billion. And for 40 years, he's got an average of 21% year on year. 40 years, he's got an average of 21% year on year. And he says the most important thing when it comes to investments is diversify across currencies, countries, and assets. And so if one of the wealthiest men in the world that manages $160 billion is saying that, would you trust him, or would you trust a financial advisor who is literally incentivized to look after your money and keep all your money in one basket, all your eggs in one basket, because he's carrying the basket and he's making money by carrying the basket? Please, ladies and gentlemen, this is a rant, and it's an important rant, because this wealth insight is it's time to change the whole mentality. There are brilliant financial advisors out there. There are brilliant, financial planners and everything in between. But those are the people that are aligned with you long term. Those are the people that want to get your long term results. Those are the people whose incentive structures and fee structures are designed to get you the results long term. They make money after you make money. Those are people that are investors, where they invest alongside you and are taking the same level of risk and tend to get the same level of results. The world needs to change. We need to change our mindsets. If we want to look at what happened to my father and, quite frankly, all of the baby boomers, the majority of who have ended up financially trapped based on the current system, if we continue to do what we've always done and expect different results, according to Einstein, that is insanity. It is time to change. It is time to do a different way. And whether you want to join me and come on my way with the wealth hackers and what we're doing at the mastermind level, that's your choice. And if it is, reach out to us, and I'm happy to, but I've spent 28 years doing this, more than 2 decades helping people, and I'm sick and tired of the old way and the results that the old way gets, because it's literally incentivized for individuals and companies to make money for themselves, not for the investors. It's time for that to change. And it starts, and there's only 2 things you need. You need the right information, and you need the right partners. If you're interested in that, click on the link below. I'd love to know your opinions. I'm sorry for my rant and my rave, but it's really, really important that I share this message with you. And if you want to put all your eggs in one basket, quite frankly, that's one of the stupidest things I've ever heard. You need to diversify. You need global diversification. You need to have a globally diversified passive income, because that will give you the freedom. That will protect your wealth. That will give you a plan B, and that will give you the peace of mind. If that's what you want, as I say, subscribe to this channel, click on the link. I am passionate about helping people achieve that. Enjoy this weekly Wealth Insight. Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you next week. Cheers.